work together and try to save this country, because certain monies that will go are borrowing from outside, few dollars, 3 million, 2 million, we have all these monies here. And if we're able to be thrifty enough to block all the loopholes, we could have saved this money to put up so many investments in this country for our people.
Okay.
Nana, can I quickly just say, I agree with him absolutely. People would want to pay taxes, but they would want to see the reflection of the taxes they pay and the kind of things that are done. And I think that is where we all have a responsibility, a huge responsibility. And to a very large extent, I think that the media is supposed to be unbiased in terms of indeed leading the vanguard to ensure that people see these whole aspects of corruption, which myself and my colleague have all agreed that we need to confront it frontally, and if you like, sideways. We need to confront it in that way. I sat on radio in Tamale, and I told people how much I have indeed gotten as a member of parliament since I was elected, and what I have used the monies for. And I have done that 3 times. Any time at all, either common fund or whatever, I would have the opportunity to say it on radio in Tamale for my constituency. This is how much I have gotten, and this is what I have.
So there should be a lot more transparency.
Absolutely. And I think that transparency also comes with a huge responsibility. I agree. We must begin investigating people. Nanama, you would have friends, you live with them, and suddenly you realize the vehicles they drive, the lifestyle they live. In other jurisdictions, they would investigate. And that is where I think the national security, like he said, plays a critical role. They would investigate to find out where you are getting the money. In this country, begin to investigate. People will either target as NPP, NDC. And I think that we need to move away from that. It doesn't help us at all. Because look, that is why I said this story and this preaching, this is not the first time. And this might not be the last time. As long as we begin looking at things in the very glasses that we look at it, it will continue, and we need to do something about it. But we must take the lead as politicians.
Right. So the two gentlemen here totally agree that it's a collective effort to fight corruption, and also we expect more from the national security apparatus. We'll go to page 16 now. Speaker slams media and calls for more powers for NMC. Beneath that story is also the one about the Tema Port scheduled to undergo a $1.5 billion expansion. I'll go to the Tema Port first. And Kwame Asari Bwedu in Accra filed the story, and it says the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority has secured funding for the expansion of the Tema Port. The $1.5 billion project, which will take 4 years to complete, will involve the building of 4 deep water berths and an access channel to accommodate larger vessels with capacity equipment. This will create the largest cargo port in West Africa and one of the best in Africa, with a capacity of 3.5 million 20-foot equivalent units per annum. Container traffic is measured in the TEU, and the Tema Port has a capacity of about 1 million TEUs. A road component of the project will see the Accra-Tema motorway expanded to 3 lanes in each direction to facilitate easy access to the port. You're MP for Tema East.
That is
Tell us about
constituency. It's a welcome.
That is your constituency.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a welcome news, and I want to thank the management and board of the ports for this investment, because when you look at the volume of imports that is coming to Tema Port, necessarily calls for further expansion. This is not the first time the port has been expanded. My late father worked in the port for almost about 35 to 38 years. I'm a port boy myself. I remember those days in school, we go and carry cocoa, we do tally clerk just to raise some money to support ourselves in Presec and all that. So it's a welcome news to see how best we go control the volumes of imports into the country. But having said that, I think that as the MP for the area, I have told the Director General the benefits that the country is getting from these port operations in terms of the services rendering and the revenue being generated, some need to be passed on into the community as well. You understand? As I speak to you, when you come to the 5 beach, the extent of the tidal waves has destroyed the beach, has eaten deep into the land, affecting the only bridge that is linking the Awudum community into the fishing harbor. is even affecting the naval base security wall. And I've discussed with them that there's a need for them to provide us with sea defense to control the tidal waves. The channel of the Chamu, the estuary is completely destroyed. So we need a proper channel to control the sea, because all the wastewater from all the industrial area and all the rainwater passes through the Chamu Lagoon, through the channel, into the sea. And for that matter, there's a need for them also to think about the constituents as well. So again, the bridge that I'm talking about has been destroyed. When I was a child, it was a wooden bridge. It got destroyed. They got fixed. It came into a metal bridge. It got destroyed until this present one. I've already discussed with the Director General. We don't want anything wooden or metal. We need a proper bridge, concrete bridge, over the Chamu Lagoon to the community and back. So I think that yes, having said so, I think that Gapoa have come of age. When you look at the sub-region, for some time now, the Sahelan region, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, they almost use them a port for their imports. And because of the weighing bridge, sometimes when you see this truck driving all the way to the north, the way they load, the axle load control and all that is affecting the use of our port now. So there's a need for, I'm sure he's here and he knows what I'm talking about, because the trade ministry should look at, and transport ministry should look at that angle as well, because the weight of these loads affects the road on which they travel. We don't have a very good rail system where we could transport all these things right from the south to the north, then they will continue and go, because the more pressure we exert on the road, it affects the lifespan of these roads and all that. So it is good, it's a welcome news that GPHA is doing further investment in the port to expand, to improve the services. And sometimes you look at the congestion of Tama ports. All players within the maritime industry, talk about the freight forwarders, Gapoa itself, you talk about state agencies like DVLA, you talk about FDB, Standard FDA, Standard Authority, and all those players. Simple thing that will have to be cleared, have to go through so many processes. And we think that if we have a centralized, it is too cumbersome. If you have a centralized pool where all these things can go within 1 second, at the end of the day, the time to clear goods for the port can be eased. We'll make our money so fast. Then at the end of the day, we can use some of these monies to do investment and development that we want for our country. But I want to tell Richard, I'm still following that the progress on the job from here. I'm coming to his office that we need that bridge as soon as they should factor it. It's a Mandi. He's an Israeli company who's going to do the port, because they want to expand the area for these berthing of clinker ships for Gassem and all that. So when you do all this investment, and the very people who give out their land are not getting back some of the benefits of these things, is a major concern to all of us.
It's a genuine call he's making. I mean, it's not such a big ask, is it?
Well, yes, except that he forgot to thank government for that, because it's a policy decision. It's a policy decision which certainly must be implemented by a state agency, and it takes the political will to come out with a policy which you would even want to implement. To that extent, yes, I agree with him that yes, this is something that would help us as a people, not only the people in Tema, and I can understand because he's the MP and his topmost concern should be his conscience, but I think that it helps the entire nation. There's also one thing, I think that we need more than 2 ports in this country. We need more than Tema and Takoradi Harbor. And I think that is why you have this other thing that is being, is being constructed. I know there was an inland port project in Kumasi. I'm not too sure how far. Yes, Bokrom. I'm not too sure how far. Because I remember
Wankra.
I remember that thing happened when I was at Tech. I think sometime 2006. And I'm not too sure whether they have finished, because we need it, considering the volume of goods that are sent to Ashanti region and northern half of the country. Because if you have them, that it helps not only Ashanti region, but the 5 regions that are cut across there. It is also important that we begin looking at the rail system in this country, because that will also help to ease the pressure. Look, Nana Ama, I sat one day and I said, look, can we have a political party that wins elections and says that we are not going to construct new roads, we are going to maintain and rehabilitate the existing roads, and focus is going to be given to the rail system. If for nothing at all within Accra, Tema, Kumasi, and the big cities. Because in other countries you go, that the subways are extremely effective. That I can live somewhere at Ashama, or I can live at Suhum and be working in Accra because the rail systems are effective. I don't need to drive so much, create the congestion, create the traffic. I can park my car somewhere, and I think that we need to begin looking at that. It also brings to fore the need for the National Development Commission now. The National Development Commission, what has been our developmental agenda as a people? We must have a standardized national developmental agenda, regardless of political parties in power. And I think that we should find it entrenched in our constitution, such that we begin looking at it in that perspective. You may come and you have different, versions of it, but whatever the case is, you are focused at what? Achieving one thing. Now, yes, it's true that we need to look at the overloading because it affects the roads. People are tasked with the responsibility to do so. Are we monitoring what those who are given that responsibility to do what they are supposed to do? And I think that is where we need that collective responsibility too. It is also important that when you look at the expansion, many other countries, particularly the woodlord or the landlord countries, I mean that Burkina Faso is one, Niger and Mali and those people can be using our ports. I do know that Burkina Faso to a very large extent is using our port. When Ivory Coast had a problem, many of them who indeed were using the Ivorian port started using the Ghanaian port. Even after Ivory Coast indeed enjoyed some stability and some peace, they felt that it was economically wise to maintain their relationship with Ghana in terms of using our ports, because it's easier taking goods from the Accra harbor to Burkina. You just need to pass through Tamale, pass through Bolga, Paga, and voila, you are in Burkina Faso. So we need to expand them. And I think that the expansion also has to do with the workload, the amount of goods, the amount of people who indeed use it. It is also significant that we need to take measures or steps to reduce the frustration, because the frustration breeds corruption. Once I come there, exactly, absolutely. Yeah. People get extremely frustrated, and as a deputy minister for trade, I have had a lot of complaints, and in fact, some meetings have been held, and measures have been taken to ensure that we reduce the bureaucracies, we reduce the frustration. If we can indeed synergize the work that these people are supposed to do. And I have even proposed in one of the meetings that why can't we have, like I said, a centralized system? We can have representation of all these agencies, because they are virtually doing the same thing but in different ways. FDA, Food and Drugs Authority, have a different and completely different work to do. The Standard Authority has a completely different work to do. I know that the Standard Authority is coming out with what we call the Conformity Assessment Program, and there have been a lot of opposition. I'm not too sure what kind of education has been done, but in one of the meetings the suggestion was that, look, and the minister indeed reiterated this point, that you need to inform and educate people so that they can get convinced. The Conformity Assessment Program helps even the importer and the exporter, because most of when people bring in goods, the goods are substandards. That, by the way, is a GCAP. The GCAP. Yeah. The goods are substandards. They are confiscated. They are destroyed. You would have lost money. Now, with this Conformity Assessment Program, you are setting the goods you are bringing in, and you are too sure that these goods cannot be confiscated. It helps you as a business person. Two, it helps consumers. So why are some exporters kicking against? I think that either they are not well informed, and that is why the minister called for some further education or consultation, because you need to consult these people. They are a major stakeholder. Now, the other thing is that it has to do medicine. Can you imagine the medicine we take? Sometimes we take kunkunte. You take kunkunte or flour, and you go to the hospital, you are sick. The doctor gives you prescription because the drug you are taking is either substandard or is completely fake. But with this, you realize that it is in the interest of consumers that these things are done. The other thing is that government will be able to assess to know how much revenue we are generating. But it comes back to that last point. Yes, we need to generate the needed resources, but people would want to see the reflection. And I think that the reflection is demonstrated by the huge projects that are indeed undertaken in this country.
Okay, do you want to comment?
Yes, with this GCAP thing, I recall it falls within a committee in Parliament, Trade Industry and Tourism, and the deputy ranking member there. And they brought this issue up. We had some workshop with them at their office. And it looks as if they have already prepared themselves. They're about to go. So my committee wrote to then acting trade minister to suspend
What were your issues with it?
The issues in the past, you see, when you look at the history, we have pre-inspection of goods before they come in. And this was changed to destination inspection. It is the duty of the destination inspection companies to look at all these things that are coming out. It's about this duplication of functions, so to speak. And more so, there had not been enough education. Why they want to bring this matter up. Then again, in the 2014 budget, Standard Authority, through the Ministry of Trade and Industry, approved their budget. So you cannot get up and start charging fees under the Fees and Licenses Act. Parliament need to approve that what you want to do. So you need to suspend it. Do further consultation with all stakeholders within the country to make sure that people fall in line with whatever you want to do. And they were still pushing. So eventually we have to call another meeting at the Speaker's Conference Hall. Over 100 companies were there. At that meeting, we were told that they are inviting people to go and do some other workshop. And the very people, the players in the import and export sector are in the conference, in the meeting with us, are not even aware of it. Then my chairman said, look at what is happening. Just take your time with SGSSB. Just take your time. Go back. Do further consultation, education. When everybody is convinced that that's what we want to do, we are prepared to support you. Let it work. You know, so they need to take their time, put some brakes on whatever they want to do.
So are you applying these brakes?
Yeah, like I said, that is why I said that even the minister instructed that, look, you need
more
to
education.
Because, look, Nanama, to be very honest, the difficulty we have in this country is most often we implement before we plan. And from my background as a development planner, the best thing that you can do to achieve success is plan with the people. In fact, planning with the people is significant. You go to certain parts of northern Ghana, you have NGOs that will come and either put up a borehole, strangely, or if you like, a place of convenience, without consulting the people. They will not even use it. And even if they use it and the thing gets spoiled, they see it as something that was done by somebody. So it is significant to, at any point in time, to plan with people. And I agree that there was the need for some further consultation to have taken place, particularly with the players. But to be very honest, it's something that will help all of us, so that, because many countries around us are indeed doing it. And to the extent that you import goods to these countries, from these countries, and export goods to these countries, you have a big challenge if you are not able to have this conformity assessment program.
All right, now let's go to Parliament now. The Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Edward Doajaho, has called for a review of the laws governing the establishment of the National Media Commission to enable the Commission to serve as an alternative dispute resolution and conciliatory platform that he said would offer the opportunity to aggrieved persons whose reputation had been injured by a section of the media to seek redress. And he's quoted here saying that these laws should be amended and given the needed teeth to bite. Otherwise, reckless reportage might destroy our peaceful nation anytime soon. And in that statement by the Speaker, he made reference to Rwanda. And if you know the history of the genocide in Rwanda, then if you're in Ghana, you'd want to be very concerned about some of the intemperate language used on our radio and television stations. More of the radio stations, I must say. Sometimes, even as a media personnel, I listen to radio stations, and the kind of things so-called reporters say about individuals, it's just appalling, it's disheartening, it makes your skin crawl. Mr. Jaho was addressing the second edition of the Volta Heroes Foundation Awards and Dinner Dance in Ho last Sunday, and he said as for the state of the realm, the media had a responsibility to be temperate in their reportage of political acts and omissions, speeches and events. Basically, the media is there as the gatekeeper, and the gatekeeper is really not playing the role of the gatekeeper. We actually open the gates for everything to go through, and it's pretty bad sometimes when you listen to some of the media houses.
During my days in the house, I think it was Thursday, and you were treating similar topic with Sam George and Steve Amwa. I was so enthused about their contributions to the fact that the content, it is very more civil within the television setting than that we see in the radio stations. You look at the kind of content that has been programmed. and sometimes the hosts of some of these programs, and sometimes even the resource persons you bring on the program to discuss some of these issues also is very important. And so now you sit back and you ask yourself, why are we going that way? It affects the quality of the production that is churning out there for people to listen. So sometimes the way you psych the people up, it makes the phone-in people also to tune towards that angle, and by so doing, it makes the whole discussion so bizarre. You understand? So I have a problem. Last 2 weeks, immediately we were recalled to Parliament. Within that week, Al-Hajj newspaper, I was then on one of your sister television stations, where Bature described my speaker, or our speaker, who is the face of Parliament, as a terror. I said, wow, why? What are your evidence? Where are your hard facts to sit in the comfort of your office and describe our speaker as a terror? And the next in line was his driver. So I tried to tell my good brother and friend that, look, the way for some time now you, the media, have taken on Parliament. We are not saying that you shouldn't criticize us. We're humans. We are fallible. You can put us on our toes to make sure we do what is right for this country. But to subject the face of Parliament, the Speaker, as a terror, which we know is not. I may disagree with him. You may disagree with him at the plenary. But that doesn't make him a terror. Look at what is happening in Burkina Faso. Most of MPs, their homes have been destroyed. So when you begin to set people up in this manner, naturally you are trying to sow some discord between the public and the members of Parliament. And we are in a democracy. And Parliament is the heartbeat of the democracy. So the Speaker is cautioning all of us that you, the media, must be very circumspect in sometimes the kind of stories, the kind of contributions and statements that you pass on to our people. Some of the headlines, you don't even know where it comes from. And some of them are lazy. They don't research. The moment they see something quickly, they jump into it and give it a front page story just to sell. I don't think that is what we need. As the fourth estate of the realm, you are part of the democracy. You are part of building this country to let this country develop. So that whatever thing that you think you are doing, it will come back to you. You understand? So within your own setting, the media, the same media house, what are some of the things that you've been doing? You must check yourself before you go outside and look at other people. So I think that what the Speaker is saying is very good. The criminal libel law has been expunged for our books. The civil libel law is still there. But people should not take unnecessary advantage to be destroying the image of other people. Look, people have left their jobs in their Parliament and they are even regretting. Because there's nothing there. But because you want to serve your people, that is why you have sacrificed all these things to make sure you serve your constituents and you serve your people. So I think that, yes, we are not saying that don't criticize us. That is the power you have. And sometimes they say you can't fight the media because they control the pen and the airwaves. Therefore, there's a need for everybody to be very careful and circumspect as to whatever we produce, to make sure that everything that comes out should be something that should unify us, should be something that should move us on. We are Ghanaians. We have different political ideologies and all that. I came from Tama. I drove through the motorway. Someone will come through the beach. But we all come to TV3 to do a show. At the end of the day, let's look at the Mother Ghana and see how we could promote this country all together for all of us.
You have dealt a lot with the media, considering where you were before moving to the trade ministry.
And I've had my own baptism from a section of the media which I can describe as bloggers. And I think that if they identify themselves as bloggers and then put up their biases, I think that it makes even those who read, to take a very fair position. I describe some of them to us the most outlandish journalistic practice, in fact, who completely deviate from the ethics of the profession, which is a beautiful ethics that indeed must ensure some sanity in our society, ethics that must put myself, you and my colleague on our toes, and particularly those who are tasked with the responsibility to handle and manage the affairs of this country, either the nationality. But unfortunately, they seem not to be doing so. we must understand the responsibility of the media and know that we have had series of examples of the recklessness of media in many jurisdictions, and particularly in Africa. And in fact, in Ghana, we can even trace back some of comments that have been made on radio. But for the fact that we are peaceful people in this country, but for the fact that at least we are able to come out of the storm anytime we have a challenge, I believe that we would have experienced or at least tasted what other countries have tasted, occasioned by the recklessness and irresponsibility of section of the media. I can understand. I'll give a classical example. I had a press briefing when we used to do the daily briefing at the Flagstaff House. And someone asked me a question on the same corruption. I remember that at that time, one church group, they went for and called for all of us. And I said, yes, it's a very good call, like the response I give today. And I said, yes, we have had a series of stories accusing the politicians, accusing the clergy, accusing all manner of people, and we all have a responsibility. The next day, City FM, which had a reporter at the Flagstaff House, put online, churches are also corrupt. I never said anything that looked like that. I never said anything that resembled that. I asked myself a simple question. Was it just a demonstration of ignorance of the profession that the person belongs to? Or it was just mischief? Or it was serving an interest of a different person? Even after persistent protestation, this story, they refused to pull down the story. I had the same incident with Joy FM. And I'm making this statement because they are statements of fact. Joy FM has a reporter called Elton Broby. And you remember my problem with my good friend, what's the name? The MP for Som. Is this Som? No, Nkoko.
Nkoko, former or now?
No, now.
It's called Darfur.
No, my friend.
Nkoko is Darfur.
No, my friend, the young guy had a problem with him. Remember, on some of these publications, Mutala said this, and then he said this. Oh, he was a former student leader.
I'm Dompre.
I'm a Dompre. And you know what happened? I walked to Parliament. This Elton Broby confronted me and said, have you heard what the Dompre said about you? I said, about me, where? He said, it's published in his paper. I said, look, I didn't hear. I don't want to have time for this. I moved. The next day, he brought a paper to me, insisting. And I said, look, I will grant an interview with you because I don't want to disrespect you. If he said this, and I made certain comment. You know what he did? He quickly rise to another Dompre. Mutala said this. I mentioned his name, Elton Broby. Another Dompre also lashed out. And you know what he did? He went to the Privileges Committee in Parliament. 2 MPs are fighting. This is outlandish. This is unethical. And I don't think that is the kind of journalistic practice we would want to have in this country. So they have a huge responsibility. I'm not saying don't criticize me. I'm not saying don't expose my ills. That is not what politicians are saying. Expose them when you need to expose them. But expose them within the ambit of your profession. And I think that the speaker's call is a very good call. I remember when there was this repeal of criminal libel law. A lot of stories. Nobody in this country has ever been convicted on criminal libel law. Nobody. And in fact, people made references to Kofi Kumsen. They were sent to court on criminal libel law, but they were not convicted on criminal libel law. They were convicted on contempt. And mind you also, the criminal libel law has been in our statute before independence. I remember at that time, Justice Wuledu, I think he was the Chief Justice then, he openly stated his displeasure, about the repeal of the criminal libel law, because it serves as a check. It serves as a check on the conduct of people. The media must sit up. There are fine journalists. I mean, not that because you are here. I mean, you are doing tremendously well. There are fine journalists even at City FM, at Joy FM, at Radio Gold, all the radio stations, very fine professional journalists. And these are journalists that I would have so much respect for. That at any point in time, the sword of the journalists or the media must be seen cutting at both sides. But if you have the sword of the journalists or the media cutting at one side because that is the side that says either the idiosyncrasies of the journalists or virtually sometimes bring bread and butter on table, unfortunately, I think that we are indeed setting a very dangerous precedent. When this issue of the furniture came, someone called me and said that you are talking about made in Ghana goods. And at that time, my minister went and you are talking about made in Ghana goods and Parliament. I said, look, first and foremost, Parliament is the legislature, and the legislative arm of government protects its rights, its autonomy with pride. You cannot blame the executive for a decision taken by Parliament. Now, people didn't even find out the circumstances under which even the things were procured. People didn't. The only thing they did was that, hey, Parliament went in and brought Chinese chairs. And I saw cartoons where they did the speaker and many of us speaking Chinese. And I think that we need to move away from that. In fact, the media has a huge response. And this call couldn't have come at any time better than now.
Nana, but you need to do more as media houses. The way you're turning and trying to knock our heads with the public, we should be very careful. My little advice that I want to share with you, because we are a practicing democracy, so young, and we are the eye of Africa. So we should be very careful the way we are going. If you're not careful, with all due respect, things are not going to be well for all of us.
Okay. Nana, is it that you people, and I would ask you this question, is it that you people, you do that for fun, or is being motivated by
we don't do that at TV3.
You know why?
So I wouldn't have an answer.
You know why I say that? I was invited for a program by a radio station. I left the office. In fact, I don't joke with my Maghrib and my Isha prayer. You know, Muslims, you pray at particular times. I left the office and I drove to that radio station, granted an interview. The next day, it was on Friday, City FM. The next day, they had a program, brought in a lady and two gentlemen. And they picked the thing I said out of context. They picked me out of context. They lambasted me even when I was calling, because fair journalism, when someone is attacked unjustifiably, I was calling to stay, they refuse. I sent text messages, they refuse. And I'm mentioning those names. And I told them, if you call me and I refuse to come, I drove my car from my place, left my prayer, came there, honored your invitation, not that you gave me anything. And anytime at all you invited me, I would come, only for you to take me out of context and then subjected me to barrage of insults and attack. You know, and I think that we need to do more. I mean, we cannot govern this country. We cannot live as a society without the media. In fact, the media is sine qua non in progressing and protecting our democracy. But they need to move away. In fact, some of them need to move away from this kind of journalistic practice. It doesn't help.
I totally agree with you. I agree. Okay, so get a copy of the Daily Graphic that has taken a chunk of our time this morning. We'll quickly brush through the others. The Ghanaian Times, Africa mayors discuss roles in development. That's page 15. They were very busy over the weekend here in Accra. The new classroom block for Dansuman School Complex, that's also there. Prosecute all corrupt persons. Catholic bishops charge government. Give NMC power to check media, page 4. Kumasi police arrest notorious robber, that's page 3. On the back page, Cranes clip stars wings and DayDay to miss Wednesday's match. Well, that's the Ghanaian Times for this morning. Can I have the Daily Guide? Yes, the story just broke yesterday and it's making waves already. Woman nabbed with £3.5 million cocaine at Heathrow. Adekoka Alote Jacobs win. NDC boys chase minister. Soldiers police rescue. This lady here, Ruby Edujemfi, aka Angel. Apparently she was holding a diplomatic passport. Was she?
That is absolutely not true. That is absolutely a fabrication. And in fact, that confirmed the position that all of us have taken today, that you have a section of the media that is outlandish, that is rusted, that is lazy, that is unprepared, in fact, to grow. And I say this because when you hear a story, and it was once again on City FM Online, and they took it from a so-called West African Online. You Google, you will not find any West African Online. The simple question is, what is the motive? Because the ethics of your profession tells you that check and double check. You don't put out a story and they turned the story and said that the person had links with the president. In one breath they said, oh, the person is the girlfriend of the president. In another breath they said, it's the girlfriend of the president's brother. I believe the next time they say the girl is the girlfriend of Honorable Mutala. Now, a lady was indeed arrested at Heathrow. The lady who was arrested bears no any Edujemfi. The lady bears a name, is it Naile Ametefe? And this lady had no diplomatic passport. The passport the lady had, in fact, she was arrested on the 9th of November. And there has been constant communication within the security agencies and the security in the United Kingdom. She had no diplomatic passport. She had an Austrian passport and a Ghanaian passport.
Australian and all.
Austria. And I would mention the name. In fact, the passport numbers, the Austrian passport number is P4187659. Okay? And the Ghanaian passport number is GO364497. No diplomatic passport. Between the security agencies in Ghana and the security agencies in the United Kingdom. Now they came out with a story that, oh, the lady was able to move with this without anybody detecting because she had a diplomatic passport. Absolutely zero. She had no diplomatic passport and certainly couldn't have used any diplomatic channels through that. And the security agencies had constant communication with the security agencies in the United Kingdom. And even after the lady was arrested, they said, look, keep this story. We're still investigating to find out all those people in the web. People she had links with. Why that rush? Why that attempt to tie government? Today is Mahama. The next day is this. The next day to be Mutala. I think that they can do better than they are doing.
Honorable Titus Glover.
First of all, let me congratulate my two other brothers, Adekoka and Alutu Jacob.
Ah, yeah. You were on with him some time ago.
Yeah. And it's those who want to use insults to seek, what do you call it?
Political office. Glory.
It will pay. You recall when he was here, I was talking about Mali, Spain. And on one of the networks in Timor was insulting him because he's a Nigerian and all that. So those things, he's not going to give you votes. And this is how God has really done it. I called them before and the day of the elections. I was communicating with that day. So I didn't even know until yesterday morning. I slept so early, so I called him and congratulated him. They've done well. I had this message on my WhatsApp yesterday.
It's gone viral.
Seriously. And I'm trying to look at the picture here. You know, another, and the one on the front page is virtually the same. But it's too early yet. Let's give ourselves this week to look at the authenticity of this things, because sometimes we are discussing about this media practice. I'm a stringer myself.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I was a trained stringer for the TUC years back, you know. But for this lady to be arrested in UK, I want to disagree with my colleague that sometimes you will let loose to let them pass for them to trail. But sometimes when you do the arrest here, it's a good image for you. You can even find out and trace, because for 3 years that she has been in this trade, that she has been on the lenses of this UK security agencies. And are you saying that within these 3 years she's allowed to go through our airports? I recall when the former president, may so rest in peace, anytime he's traveling, he has to raise his hand to make sure that he's not carrying anything. For 3 years, this lady has been passing through the airport with these things, and they go and sell and all that. But seriously, I'm ashamed, because women are very important people. It's not everything that glitters is gold. But for whoever, I don't know her. I don't know her from Adam. But indeed, if she has been arrested in UK in this trade, it's a very bad thing to our image. Drug is something that we don't need to tolerate. When we look at the social impact it's giving to our society, it is something that we don't need to promote and let people go off hook. The Narcotic Control Board, the National Security and the BNI must up their game. They need to up their game to make sure that all these things that are going, it doesn't speak well of us as a country. If he has been turned into in transit, and we are sitting down with our arms widely open for here to be used as a conduit, it doesn't speak well for us. So what I would say is that I want to take my time, at least give myself this week, and make some further checks. Then we can come back and maybe have a very thorough discussion on this matter.
Okay, what are you on?
Very quickly. I think that if you follow international news and issues that have to do with the arrest of drug dealers, and in fact, the United States of America, there are stories they will tell you that they will trade the drug dealer for even 10 years, see that he engages in drugs, and they will leave him because they would want to get his accomplices. That is significant. Now, if the lady has been on the radar for 3 years, it is not conclusive to say that for the 3 years she was engaged in that business. It's possible that she might have done it 3 years ago and they still want to monitor. It is also significant that if you arrested her here, you may get her accomplices in Ghana, you may not get her accomplices in UK. I remember Erika Mwati, when Erika Mwati, a member of parliament, was arrested. The argument was that, look, they had the information of what he was engaged in, but they allowed him for some time. And in fact, the US security themselves said they allowed him for some time and that he was engaged in it for several years. That they were trained, they wanted to get all his accomplices, and he was not nabbed alone. And I think that in terms of those things, you can easily arrest, but you would have denied the security agencies in the United Kingdom from getting those who are engaged. That's why I said even when the lady was arrested on the 9th, check through the Sky News or the BBC, they didn't report it. They never reported it. They never reported it because the security agencies did not want them to, because they would have given them that information. When they arrest people even with small quantities, you find CNN and BBC and those international networks reporting it. How come that this lady was arrested on the 9th? It was not reported anywhere because they felt that they were still doing some investigation. It would be an irresponsible investigative work for you to just arrest someone and quickly you begin to announce. And that's why even in Ghana, you have stories at TV3 that the police would arrest and they will not disclose the name of the person because they still want to get his accomplices. Yes, it would have been good. It would have been a very good news. Oh, we arrested the woman. And 2, the woman did not carry diplomatic passport. Because 1, if you carry a diplomatic passport, you pass through certain things without so much difficulty. Let people also understand that it is not just ministers and deputy ministers and government whatever who have diplomatic passports. If you marry someone who works at Foreign Affairs, your husband, and that person is supposed to be sent to me, you have a diplomatic passport. Members of parliament have diplomatic passports. And pastors have diplomatic passports. So let's look at it in that context. I agree, yes, we should have just arrested. But if you arrest, you would have truncated a complete and absolute work that is intended to get everybody who is involved in it. And I believe that, but for the fact that this so-called West African Online put it up, I don't think that government would have indeed at this material moment. But it brings to fore that we need to be very responsible as journalists. You don't put anything online, because if you put a story online that is not true, you would have destroyed somebody, and that person may not have the opportunity to correct his name. And I don't think that is ethical.
Okay. The Enquirer, Esla exposes NPP hypocrisy as she confesses, I cannot say the president has done nothing. Goodbye to ghost names as MMDAs roll onto GIFMRS Fitness platform next year. Bid to topple Adekoka fails as he rides home with a Greater Accra NDC chair title belt. Okay. On the back page, Black Star stunned. And the Grand Sales is coming up again. Grand Sales, you're the trade minister, deputy trade minister. Do you still find it interesting?
Well, it is interesting as long as it promotes trade.
But patronage has gone down.
Yeah, so that is why we need to do more. That is why we need to do, once again, more education, sensitization, using the media and other means. And I think that once we do that, it will help, because it all helps in our economic growth as a people. Okay.
UT Bank boss poo-poos Gabra's directive on interest rates. Akufo-Addo leads NPP leadership to IDU meeting in Korea. Houseboy jailed 10 days for stealing 150,000 cedis. Pressure on Mahama to sack the beast Daboya MP. And this colleague of yours, really, yes, I'll have to talk to you about him. He said, just in case you missed it, this Daboya MP says women or adulterous women should be stoned to death. I mean, how ridiculous can an MP sound?
I wasn't on the floor, but
were you there?
I don't think he meant it.
You don't think he meant
listen,
it?
I'm coming. I'm not trying to defend him. I know him, I know he has a family, and I know
he's got 5 kids.
He's somebody who worships, in fact, the wife. So I was amazed. He's somebody who virtually worships the wife. I know him very, very well.
He said he wouldn't mind his wife being stoned to death
saying that
if she commits adultery.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that I believe that it was just on the lighter side. And I would
lighter side?
Yes, I would. Yes, even though there are some jokes that are expensive,
yes,
he ought not have indeed done that. There can't be any justification whatsoever. But I know him to be somebody who worships his wife. Maybe there was an Agbala. Or is it
Did you say wife?
Did you say wife?
his wife. Oh, but even if I say wife,
well, he's a Muslim.
Even my father had 4 wives, and I enjoyed it.
How many are you willing to take? 4 more? 3 more?
No, I mean, it's something that I can't sit here and tell you that I'm willing to do this. I have a wife, and I love her, a beautiful wife.
Oh, lovely.
You know, but I'm just saying that he worships virtually the wife. To be very honest,
so you were shocked.
I was, frankly speaking, and I have had. They say, "Oh, Mutel, I was just," and I say, "You don't joke with some of this.
Yeah.
You don't, particularly on the floor. It's a house of records. Whatever statement you make there is captured, and that is why certain things you can sit on radio and say it. You can't say it on the floor because you'll be scrutinized, and this thing would have been captured. And I think that is a very bad and terrible image. But I don't think that President Mahama can sack a member of parliament.
No, you can't.
You know, but it's just, I think that this, I don't know.
Maybe he'll be disciplined in parliament, or I don't know.
He's a good friend and colleague, and I think that the best thing that he can do is to apologize and retract what he has said. Because, I mean,
I was shocked.
And when I heard this, I said, Nancy, why did you say this? To stone?
What a man who do
What is this? What about us?
Exactly.
What about we the men? I mean, what measure are you going to, yardstick are you going to use to measure? And men are sometimes even more serious than women, you know. I think that he never thought through. He never thought through. So he should come quickly.
Yeah, he should apologize. He should render an apology, an unqualified apology. Yeah. GIPC targets private capital for bridge power deficit. A Chiabo port ready to roll. Dalek CEO suggests ways to tackle high interest rates. Takoradi port expansion receives major boost, and so there's a lot of expansion going on. The Chronicle says Rollins losing grip on NDC as Adekoka Alote Jacobs win positions. Bench warrants for ex-NDC chairman, and GNPC's loan facility and parliamentary approval. What ASAP says. Okay. We'll go to the Daily Dispatch newspaper. There's a lot of Parliament news coming up this morning. Parliament's Chinese chairs, plastic chairs for MPs. Minority leader asks, plastic chairs in the chamber would be very embarrassing. I must say. Okay. You wouldn't want to sit on plastic chairs, would you?
No, you see, the only problem was that the old chairs...
Did yours break?
No, I'm sure it's about the fixing. You know.
Did yours break?
No, even I think that there was just one the
screw.
Gifty's own.
Yeah, and then
the screw. And you see that the back looks longer.
Yeah.
The old one that we have, when we sit, you will see each other, you know. But this one looks longer at the back, so that especially those short ones, when they are buried inside, you don't see them.
I told the minority leader, apparently I went to Parliament and I saw him, and then he also raised his user bar. And I said, oh, minority, I can understand why.
Because he's not so
yes,
tall.
I can understand your concern. But
yes,
but I'm told that there were other members of Parliament who complained about the short one. You know, they don't fill the glass and, you know, and those things. Maybe, but I believe that the old one, that type would have been better. Because you sit down, you want to see. But this one gives people the opportunity.
You should have bought in Ghana. Buy in Ghana.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you should have. But I don't think we can keep crying over a spilled milk.
Of course.
You know.
The harm has been done. Okay, the Today newspaper. My victory is NDC's 2016 victory. Adekoka assets. Another type is global. You're good friend.
Things have changed, things have changed.
So they won't win in 2016.
Not at all.
Really?
Well,
You're coming in.
The difference is that
we
have a strategy for the presidential candidate of the NPP.
You do?
Yeah, we do. We have a strategy for the NPP. We have always said it. Look, the NPP, the people who live in my constituency, they don't care much about what noise is made on radio. What they care about is that they now have electricity. What they care about is that the roads in the constituency are now constructed. What they care about is that they now have a cheap compound. What they care about is that they now have enough food as a result of interventions by the Ministry of Agriculture. What they care about is that they now have potable water to drink. Now, if you sit on radio and then you tickle yourself, the people do not. And mind you, the way the NDC was formed.
You think that every Ghanaian is happy with the interventions you've made, or the lack of interventions?
No, every Ghanaian can't be happy, and every Ghanaian has never been happy. At any point in time, you would find people who would indeed express some concerns. And government admitted and said, look, yes, we were facing some challenges. We are optimistic of interventions that we are putting in place to overcome those challenges. But you don't expect everybody to just be happy. Even if you give Ghanaians gold ornament, you will still find some people who wouldn't be happy. But what we're simply saying is that, look, the elections are going to be fought based on what we promised and what we have delivered.
And so
the elections are also going to be fought based on the candidates that we have all selected as to who can manage the affairs of this country. Trust me. As the campaign begins,
and you think that Nana Addo will not be able to manage the affairs?
I mean, if President Mahama could use even 3 months with all the propaganda that was put out there to beat him.
Propaganda.
Absolutely.
I thought it was your expertise.
But they regretted even not having an office for propaganda. In fact, we have minutes in where they regretted not having the office of propaganda as a political.
So you're trying to make propaganda your forte now?
Far from that. You see, in 2008, the NDC commissioned a South African researcher. And what they concluded was that continuously throw debt on Akufo-Addo. You can deny it.
We haven't.
Please.
Okay.
And my brother sitting here is one of these people who were insulting, attacking Nana Addo consistently.
He insulted him.
Can you give me one example?
Mutala.
No, you are accusing me. I'm here. And I'm saying, just give me one example.
One
example.
Of insult.
They have insult.
I thought Mutala was a very decent politician.
Look, he's all here. He knows the difference between us.
I say,
please,
give me one.
Can I
one?
Can I talk?
In fact, I challenge you,
please,
for your viewers to give me one.
The viewers and listeners on all these networks, the way you and other people, the hawks.
Oh, I see.
The way you've come and insult. Now, you see, people, Nana Addo have proved them wrong.
Is that why Nana Addo lost?
Please.
Did he lose as a result of the insults?
Look, there are so many things that these guys did, and we've got all that. I can tell you.
I see.
So you've got an antidote.
So now, we all know elections are won at the polling station. We don't need that to come and tell us that elections are won at the polling stations.
So you're not going to the court any longer?
We don't have business to go and waste our time at the court.
Oh.
You understand?
I see.
So we are focused.
You wasted your time in the
so
court.
please, it is part of democracy. So we need to go there. You know, it is good. We went to the court. Don't have to throw this country into chaos. You understand? So please, let us not go there. Whatever strategy that you have, you are good in rigging elections. That is good.
So that's a very serious allegation.
Now Ghanaians are comparing. If it's a development, look, you have been so successful in terms of money that you have been able to raise in this country. Look at the total debt stock of this country. Look at it. $8 billion, including that of Kwame Nkrumah's time to that of Diego Foster. And when you came between 2009 to now, look at the chunk of loans, monies that you have procured in this country.
Aren't they using it to develop the country?
To whom much is given, much is required. As a government, it is your duty to provide schools. It's your duty to provide water, all these social amenities. But money that has come through your hands, you need to do more than you're doing.
No, this argument has been...
I said, what are you talking about?
Listen, I'm coming.
You had the floor. Can I please?
Oh, you haven't finished.
I think second
what is this?
for him.
So you understand?
Yes.
So now Ghanaians are comparing. They want to look at it. And your mama, the president, and Nana Akufo-Addo, Ghanaians are more comfortable today to entrust the destiny of this country in Nana Addo's and Nana Akufo-Addo. He says he's a young man. And the young man, look at the way he's taking us through. We cannot throw out the aged in our society.
But you can't miss something you've never had.
You understand?
You can't miss something you've never had.
You cannot miss something you cannot have. I agree with you. But I can tell you today, go out there and ask ordinary people on the street, including his constituency, that between your mama and Nana Akufo-Addo, who do they want to be interested in the destiny of this country?
And they will say Nana Addo?
Well, absolutely.
What are we talking about?
Absolutely far from that.
What are we talking about?
I think that in the first place, it's not just about age. It's about utterances. And that is why I was challenging my brother to tell me one single insult. I said, Nana Addo said all that. I didn't say it for him. So if I sit on radio and TV,
not part of the people who were insulting Nana
Addo
as a drug addict?
Oh, have I ever?
You.
I said there have been allegations.
But you said Nana Addo was a drug addict?
When you had your primaries, hold on. I have never said he's a drug addict.
Please.
I am so responsible and decent to it. I have said that you had your own Congress, your elections, and members of your party were circulating text messages claiming that Nana Addo deals in drugs. Why? Ochiridaku said that he took weed in the 60s. Who? That is his nephew. Who said it? Ochiridaku said it. Now if I sit on radio and repeat the things Nana Addo himself said, I didn't control him to use all that. I didn't tell him to meet NPP people in Texas and told them that the government was favoring Chinese companies against American Western companies. I didn't ask him to meet the MPP people in Germany and told them that the NDC government was favoring Chinese companies against American companies. Strangely, someone who had been a minister for foreign affairs, that is the statement certainly you ought not have been made. I repeated this statement. And in any case, my people, like I told you, if we have gone in for money, and I have listened to these analyses made time and again, let's sit down and look at it. Which of them are supposed to be unlocked with regards to counterpart funding? And you would realize that they are all added to our debt stock. Now, if someone is giving you $1 billion, and then you need to provide 100 million for the $1 billion to be given to you to execute a project, if you are not able to provide the $100 million, that $1 billion would have been calculated as our debt stock. And it is apparent the monies that we have gone for and the things we have done. There is huge expansion of rural electrification. And aside that, look at the circle interchange. Except that someone tells me that it's not necessary. But the last time I checked, the same people told us that the Akosombo, the Temamoto way was not necessary. Today, they have jumped on it and said this is not necessary. If you look at the expansion of roads, if you look at the hospitals, if you look at the schools that are provided, schools and the trees, if you look at the infrastructure development that is going on, then you will begin to take an appraisal of the money that we have gone in for and what we have done.
You think based on that
we have no doubt in mind. You know what? People think that lies can win elections for them. At the end of the day, the good people of this country would assess the promises that we have made as a people, and voters, and I have no doubt in mind, that it is going to be bummed. And you know why? They still do not want to admit that they lost the elections. Now he is making reference to Atuba. You see, the moment you do not admit that you lost an election, you will lose again. And that is the problem between the Alan camp and the Nanado's camp. The Alan camp says, look, we lost these elections. Let's sit down. Let's do an evaluation of why we lost the elections. And then going forward, they still believe they never lost. And they are trying to repackage Nanado. We didn't need that court. It was needless. You didn't need to go to court.
Well, he said it was a waste of time.
No. He is admitting it, waste of time. And I'm saying that you went into an election, you lost the election, and immediately they lost. They came out, and now they're down trying to package another. A very peaceful person. Come on. You don't take the admission. He had no option than to admit and respect the ruling of the Supreme Court.
Okay.
He had no option. So admitting it doesn't make you a very peaceful person. No.
Daily Heritage newspaper. NDC chair slaps MC for supporting Alote Jacobs in Central Region election. So not so peaceful.
The NDC what?
NDC chair slaps MC for supporting Alote Jacobs. Well, I don't know the details of that story.
You see, that is the problem. We haven't even read the story. Why? When the MPP, you see, I don't want us to type. Why
are you bringing in the MPP?
Oh, no, because he said, I'm coming. I'm saying that when they had their party office, and I saw it on TV3, it was a reminiscence of Gaza Strip. Frankly speaking, you saw people.
Were you not here?
It was a reminiscence of Gaza Strip. You saw people with cameras.
I saw the choir as well.
You forgot to talk about it.
It was a
Did you see the choir with blood all over the body?
It was a reminiscence of Gaza Strip.
Recently, look at
I saw machetes.
What was happening?
Oh, why? You told.
Have you been told what?
Have you been told?
No, we haven't attacked. We haven't even attacked your chairman. Your people attacked your chairman.
Have you been told? I don't want to remind that of the MC in that area. Oh. Have you been told what had led to that?
Oh, you have any
heard that story, but I don't know.
Give it to the security agent.
You're asking me?
Okay.
But you are saying...
Is it not part of your competitions?
All right.
Is it not part of your competitions?
Daily Searchlight.
My tree don't come.
Stone Age Man... Okay, that is for your colleague. Stone Age Man in Parliament. Stone cheating women to death. MP. There's a picture of him here.
We have dealt with this story.
Yes, we have. I'm just... It's the front page of the paper.
This is NBC thinking.
I got in far...
NBC thinking.
Which one?
The other one.
Oh, you see, you made a comment of a colleague and now you are telling us it's NBC. But you see.
Okay. Ex-net boss in trouble. That's according to the Insight. Danger. WHO using vaccines to sterilize women. Well, that's something I know nothing about. And our last paper will be the new crusading guy. Nana Kunedu and Co. in fierce fight over £3.2 million in the UK bank and divested shares of SOE 19 years after divestiture. And there's also a story there. Judicial integrity is most critical in justice delivery. That's the Chief Justice speaking. I have to say a big thank you to our gentlemen here today, Honorable Daniel Ni Kwate, Titus Glover, and Comrade.
I'm a
Comrade Mutala, MP for Tema East, It's good to see you once again. And you dare not call his name without adding Glover to Titus.
Titus to Glover.
Titus to Glover.
Is it an English name?
Yeah, it's an English.
Yeah. That's the English side of it.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Titus Glover is a compound.
Yeah.
The compound.
Yeah.
You have a traditional
It's
name.
Nikwate.
New Kwate.
Okay.
Yeah. And also comrade Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, Member of Parliament for Tom, and also Deputy Minister of Trade and Industries. It's been a pleasure having both of you here, and very decent discussion we've had actually. Sorry? I am eloquent.
Absolutely.
Oh wow,
I guess it's not what I'm thinking. These comments.
All right, this segment was brought to you by Lipton Tea, the world's #1 tea brand.